Hello there, this is William from Wusik, and this is Wusik Station STX, and this is a short tutorial on how to start using. The first time you load it up, it's going to ask if you want to check the basic tutorial. In this case I'm going to say never, so it doesn't ask again, and I'm going to create a new, so I'm going to click on new and start a new project. Let me adjust the microphone here. Okay, that's better. So we have the interface here, we have the menus here on the top, the undo, we have the piano roll, the mixer, the sequencer, which is where we are right now. We have the file browser where you can load the plugins. But first you have to scan for the plugins. So the first thing is to go to File Settings, and before you go to the plugins, let's go to the audio first and be sure that you have the audio selected and that you have a MIDI input selected with default selected to the MIDI input that you want. By default, the first one you select is going to set as default, because you can also have a shortcuts MIDI input that you can use like for a MIDI controller just for shortcuts, and have your primary MIDI keyboard just for MIDI notes and stuff like that. And here on the audio settings you can also change if you want Windows Audio, Direct Sound, or ASIO. Right now I'm using Windows Audio so I can capture the sound of the application, because with ASIO I can't. Direct Sound I may be able to get, but the latency is not very good. So I'm using Windows Audio for now. But I have used it with ASIO with great results. And then you can set the buffer size. In case of the ASIO, you're going to set the buffer size on the ASIO window. Then we go to the Plugins Manager. And here we can set the folders that we want to scan for plugins. In my case, I have a lot of plugins on a D drive. And then we just press scan plugins, and it's easy like that. It's going to check. In this case, it already sees that I have scanned all the plugins that I want. If I want to rescan a plugin, I just select it, I press delete on the keyboard to rescan it. And let's go with the keyboard now. So using up and down, I can see all the plugins that I have, and I can hit return or enter to select it to show or to be hidden from the plugin list. So I can do all this from this list. I have a lot of plugins. So at the end it's going to show the ones that failed. But funny enough, all these failed ones have been scanned and imported. So I think it was like a 32-bit versions, because this version only works with 64-bit plugins. And one thing to notice is that the use external process, what you have to do, if first you scan all the plugins using the external process, then you delete all the plugins that fail to load and disable the external process. Because some plugins don't allow you to scan them with the external process enabled. I had problems like with the Solina plugin. I don't know the name of the plugin. Let me see if I can find it on the list. Oh, here it is. Solina Redux, for instance, doesn't allow me to scan it using the external process. And it's best to use the external process first, because without using the external process, when you scan a plugin and the plugin fails and crashes, it's going to crash the whole application. And with the external process, it doesn't. So it just continues scanning. So you have to do it 2 times just to be sure that you got everything. And you can also use the batch screenshots to load all the plugins that you have selected and take a screenshot to show in the plugin browser. So if I go here on the plugin browser and select a plugin, it shows a screenshot of plugin before I actually load it up. It's tinting a bit the screenshot just to look nice with the whole interface, but you can disable that if you want. But I'm not going to talk about this right now. So okay, you have selected all your plugins, you have set up your audio interface. And there's a lot of customization that you can do, but I'm going to leave this for another video. I'm just going to show how to start with a simple task, like I'm going to select a virtual instrument, so it loads it up. I can move the plugin where I want, and I have the options here that I can open, the plugin options. So let me close it up here. So I have my plugin options. There are a lot of options in here, including key zones and key switching that you can use. You can select a plugin to load on a different desktop because you have 9 desktops. You just let me close the plugin browser. Going from pressing the number 1, 2, 3, and 9, from 1 to 9, you can select a different desktop, and 0 allows you to configure a desktop and how you want to use it. But right now, if I have my track here, I already loaded a plugin on this track. And I can disable the waveform, the view meter here if I want. There's an option for that. I just go to the easiest way is go to desktop 1, which is the one I'm using. I have disabled my other monitor just to screencast this, otherwise it's a bit harder to use the screen program, the screen capture program with 2 monitors. And I can go here and disable the view meter, the oscilloscope, if I want on this particular desktop. The visualizer and mastering strip is not coded yet, but soon it's going to be. So okay, I already have one instrument there. If I press the E here, it's going to load the interface of the first plugin. And if I click the pinned option, I can have it open while I still use the interface. You can see that when I click on the plugin window, there's a red box here at the top showing me that I don't longer have the keyboard focus, so the keyboard is not doing anything on my sequencer, but is doing on the plugin instead. But if I click on the sequencer, it goes back to the sequencer. And I can close the plugin if I want. And if I press R for record, so you're going to notice that all the tooltips have the shortcut, keyboard shortcut for it showing on the tooltip. So R is going to record. I have disabled the sound in here. Yeah, I have disabled the plugin, but I recorded some notes. So I can double click if I want to edit on the piano roll. And let me go back to the sequencer. I just press, the sequencer is F4, so I just press F4 again. And if I press F2, it's going to go to the piano roll. If I press F2 again, it's go back to the sequencer window. And if I press F1, I can see all the shortcuts for the mouse and the keyboard. So there's a lot of shortcuts that you can use, especially for editing notes. So here when you're using a keyboard that has the notepad, you just enable the notepad and numlock, the numlock, a keyboard with the keypad. Keypad is the name, sorry. And you can use this to alter the notes directly without having to use the mouse if you want. So let me go here to the piano roll. I just use the keypad 6. I can move it left and right, and keypad 8 and 2 up and down. And Q is going to quantize. And you can see the quantize options here. So Q is going to quantize, and Shift Q opens the quantizing options. So it's very easy to use. And the regular mouse cursors just move up and down and left and right on the window without changing anything. So I can hear it. So those are the basic stuff that you can do. Of course, I can press F5 again to open the file browser and insert an effect. So it's going to insert an effect on this track that I have selected. So now I have an effect added to the track. I can press F6 to check everything that's loaded to the track, including the send effects. And here at the bottom shows the master, which I can change the target bus, so it's going to create a new bus if you want. So let's say I want to create a new bus here, new. I'm going to create a synth bus. So now my track is sending to the synth bus. And the synth bus goes to the master output by default. So let me save the project now. Project name, and it's saved. A few things that you can do on the plugin. I can right-click it and select the options for the plugin. But there's also the track options, which I press T on the keyboard, and it shows me all the track options that I have, including a high pass and a low pass filter. You can click here on the menus, track, and you can see here options is T, everything is in here, or on the F1 menu. But if I press F3, which is the mixer, so I have the sequencer and a mixer here on the top, it's going to show me the volume of the track and the two filters if I want to change it. So let's use a high pass filter here, and it shows me the frequency. And a low pass filter. And if I press T to enter the track options, I can have more options for the filter, like resonance, the type of filter, 20 and 24, in the drive. The drive is very good because you can add some distortion to the track directly from here without having to add another plugin if you just want some simple distortion, let's say. And also have another option, which is the live mode. So right now I don't have anything with latency. So if I go to the song options, and I can see here extra latency 0. So there is no plugins using latency right now. But let me go to the synth bus, and I'm going to add the mastering stereo, the TG mastering chain, which adds a bit of latency. And now I have one plugin that's adding latency to my setup. And I'm going to also add the CLA NX, which also adds a lot of latency. Just for testing. Of course it's going to sound awful, but I just want to test the latency. So during playback, it's not going to be any problem because I have delays on each of the signals, and it's going to compensate for the latency of any plugin, so it plays in time correctly. But as I play on the keyboard now, there's a huge latency as I play. You can see here on the top right, the MIDI activity. There's a lot of latency. But if I press a live, it bypasses the latency. I don't think it's bypassing the bus. It should be bypassing the bus. Oh, because I was in the right track. Okay. I'm clicking on the wrong thing. So here, live mode, current track, bypass effects is L. Now it's working. Sorry, I was pressing on the desktop. Now there's no latency. But it's bypassing the two effects here on the bus to help me out with that. So those are mostly the basic stuff that you can do. There's more stuff that I'm going to talk on another video. But basically it's pretty much that. I can also select a clip and select here, show hide waveforms, right click to create waveforms. So if I press the right click, it's going to create the waveforms for that particular clip, which is an instrument. It's not freezing the clip. I'm still playing through the live plugin, but it's giving me a preview of that clip without freezing it. So it doesn't take much space, just the space of the small thumbnail, which is very small, and can help me during the processing of the track and stuff like that. And well, for now, I think that pretty much sums up the first options. You can render the song if you want, so let me save it. Then I can render. The effects tab is still showing there. I have to remove that. So it's now showing me peak detected. So there's the wave file. I can now open with my wave application, and there it is. But it has peaked. But it did tell me that it has peaked during the process, so I can be careful and check that. Maybe I'm going to put in the rendering song file, peak, just to be sure, because maybe you render and you don't see that. So everything you can check here on the menus. There's a lot of keyboard strokes that you can use to automate things much easier, and also shortcuts. You can check everything on the menu here on the help menu, and everything is here. If you want to check, on this case, here is showing me the F1 to F12 keys. If you hold Ctrl, it's going to show the ones that use Ctrl. If you hold Shift and Ctrl Shift. So that's how it works for this help. Just hold the Ctrl and Shift keys as you want to see what each key does. And all the clips also have options. So we can see here on a track, we have options for the tracks and also the options for the clips. So I can select a clip if I want. If I have more than one instrument on a clip, I can select if this clip is going to play all the instruments on this track or just one instrument. Then also there's the volume, the transpose. Can show a name if you want. And it's clipping the name because it's a very short clip. And I haven't done the fades in and out yet, but soon it's going to be working too. And you can also change the color of the clip if you want. And the transparency of the waveform that we created before. So there we go. When selected, it's going to be white. When it's not selected, it's going to be using the color. And on the piano roll, there's some other things that I forgot to mention. You can select events here. So in this case, right click is going to show me the options of events. So I can use Ctrl-0 to show it on and off, and Ctrl-1 to 6 to select the events directly, or just Ctrl-9 to cycle the events. So it's going to be note velocity. I can change the note velocity of all events, or just click on one event is going to select that one. I can change automations because I can record the plugin automations, pitch bend, pitch controller, note after touch, and event probability. So event probability is going to select how likely is going to be to play the event during the playback process. So if I put very low, so let's put like this, very low. Let's go back to sequencer, and I'm going to duplicate with D. So you can hear that's very rarely is going to play. So let me delete this guy and put a bit higher now. Let me duplicate again. So it's a great way of creating let's say a track that has different sounds. You just put a very low probability on the track, and then you just go and duplicate it several times. You can make like this. So I'm going to select just one here. So it's not selecting because there's several, because it's a chart, so there's several ones in there. So as I move them down, the one below is not showing. It's a bit complicated. Maybe it's just easier to put everything up, unselect with Ctrl A, and just select the ones I want. Well, that was the idea, at least. With tab is easier. I have to check this. So I have put this to always play, so it's maximum probability, and the other ones to almost never play. Well, you get the idea. They're not playing very often. Maybe I could put it 40% or something like that. So this is just to give an idea. So Ctrl-0 turns off the events. So the idea is to use the keyboard as much as possible, because you have very easy to remember keys. If you check the F1 here, most stuff is very easy to remember. So you can see here piano roll, mixer, the sequencer, the file browser, the plugin list, browser focus, because when I have the browser open and I am going left and right, it's staying on the browser. If I press F7, it's going to focus back on the sequencer, and if I press again, it's going to go back to the file browser. And soon I'm going to be able to load audio files too. I'm still working on that. So that's I think that's pretty much. Now it is. I'm going to leave other options like customizations and especially the stuffs on the settings here, because you can adjust the menus, the shortcuts, the display, some sequencer options. There's a lot of things that you can change. And I'm going to talk about this on another video. So I think that's it. Thanks for watching.